Welcome to PHP Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're here for another Monday minisode.
Yeah, Monday minis are where we get the chance to kind of talk about a topic in a shorter amount of time. We tend to go about 8 to 10 minutes or so on our Monday minis. But if you like our content, if you want to hear us talk a lot more about a lot of different things reseller related, then check out our Wednesday episodes. We have a Wednesday episode every Wednesday. And they tend to be over an hour long where we go into items that are selling well, cool stories, reselling news. So check out our podcast. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. But today we're going to be talking about blocking buyers because people always are pretty quick on the trigger to either one, block buyers every chance they get, or two, never block buyers. And so today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why you probably shouldn't actually block buyers, because there are reasons you should block buyers. Sometimes people need to hear that, but sometimes people are a little too quick to block buyers and it might actually be costing you sales.
So I think on the title on this, it should be "Don't block them."
Yeah, don't block them. Don't do it.
Something like that. Don't block them with apostrophe. Don't block them. All right. So the reason I came up with this was because in the last 2-3 weeks, I've had the strong urge to block buyers. And I didn't, and they ended up being legitimate. You need a couple of answers to their questions, or, they didn't pay right away, but they were on vacation or something there, and they messaged me and they're like, "Hey, sorry, I know you're waiting for a payment. I didn't pay." Whatever it is, sometimes we have the tendency to block people too fast, and we may be blocking profits. So the first one is if somebody sends you a lower offer. Sometimes people are just being cheapskates. But other times, they're just testing if you have automatic decline on your best offers. Sometimes they're willing to see if you're going to make a deal. I've had people on a $100 item send me a $20 offer, and I've countered when I'm annoyed at $99.99. Or when I'm not annoyed, I've countered at $75, and then they counter me at $60. And it's like, oh, no, they just wanted to see where I was at. Right? It's just business. So don't take it personal. Don't just go, this person's just trying to lowball me, I'm just going to block them. You agree with that one, Mike, or you think I'm being too nice?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think there's the extremes, right? Somebody gives you a $1 offer on a $100 item, right? That's different. But like you said, that you could look at a $10 or $20 offer and say, hey, this is just offensive, and you block them. And some people, listeners right now might be like, wait, why would you block? Well, if you've been reselling long enough, you're going to experience times where buyers are, they end up being more hassle after they've bought something from you. So there are reasons to, but this isn't necessarily one, because yeah, they might be trying to just kind of fill the water. We talk a lot about negotiating, like not giving the first number. Well, it's really hard to do when you have to send an offer of not giving the first number. So they might just be anchoring really low so that they can kind of see where you're at. And if you do that kind of almost petty $99.99 response, which I have done that many times, they might look at that and go, forget this guy. They're not gonna be willing to negotiate at all. The next one is buyers asking a lot of questions. Now, it may be worthwhile blocking buyers if they're asking a lot of questions on an item, but one of the times to not do that is if the item is a more expensive or more unique item. If a buyer is asking questions on a highly expensive or collectible item or something that's just really unique, it's not a reason to block them, because this is somebody who might actually be interested, right? When I'm buying something very expensive, whether it's a camera or a trailer or something like that, I have a lot more questions. I want to know, okay, like, what about this? What about this? Because when you're putting a lot of money into something, you want to make sure before you go and look at it or you spend the time buying it, that it meets all of your requirements. Now, if it's a $5 or $10 or $20 item someone's buying, it's a different story. If they're asking you a million questions, it's probably a very, very needy buyer. But if it's an expensive item or it's a unique item, don't automatically assume this is a needy buyer who's going to cause me lots of headache. They actually might be saving you a lot of headache because you answer these questions and then they can make an educated decision whether or not to buy it. So they're not making that return or that refund request because it wasn't what they were thinking it was going to be in the first place.
Yeah, agreed. And again, you can kind of pick up the vibe too, but if there's somebody that, there's dropping several $100s in the item, Unless they're asking like, "Hey, I couldn't tell if there was wear on the pictures or stuff like that," then that's troublesome. But if they're just asking genuine questions, sometimes people want to know the provenance of an item, right? Where did you pick it up? And I just honestly tell people, "Hey, I picked this up in an estate sale, or this belonged to somebody else." I get that all the time when I sell vintage toys. People ask me, where is this vintage toy from? And the awesome thing is, most people that I collect from these, high end, let's say Hot Wheel red lines, right? They're either people that have been collectors and they've, held on to their stuff since they're children, or they're good friends. And I'll just respond saying, "Hey, this was from a collector who took care of their items for a long time," or "This was from a friend." And that satisfies them, right? It's not a bad question. They just want to make sure that an item's taken care of. And if you're able to, it just console someone, or not console somebody, ease the fears of an individual by saying, "Hey, I understand, that how well taken care of an item is matters to you. This is what the deal is." That's okay. That's okay. Now, the other reason you shouldn't be blocking is somebody asks you what is their lowest price. Highly annoying, and terrible negotiator or negotiating. Terrible English from Orlando, but the thing is, a lot of people are terrible at negotiating.
I don't know. I mean, we kind of do this when we're at garage sales, right? Like,
I never ask
what would
your price.
Okay, maybe you don't ask it exactly what's your lowest price, but you ask a similar question like, what would you do for this, or what would you be willing to take?
That's different. That's entirely different. What were you thinking on this item, or where are you at on this item is different than, "Hey, what is the lowest price that you'd be willing to sell this for? Because I'm so cheap that I don't want to pay you any more than that."
I don't know. It doesn't come across that way to me. If somebody asks the lowest price, I almost feel like they're trying to cut to the bottom of the negotiation.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So
is it the same thing? Hold on. Is it the same thing between what were you thinking on this and what is your lowest price? Is that the same thing? I want to know. Let the people tell us.
Of course, it's all going to come down to tone. You could be like, "Well, fine. What's your lowest price?" Like versus like, "All right, what's the lowest you'll go on this one?" I think there's different tones.
No one's seen like a mic emoji like in the eBay messages, like, because the way you said it, I get it. Like you're not a jerk. You're not a cheapskate. You're just kind of like wanting to make a deal. But in messages, it can come across like that. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you don't think so?
I feel like
is it just soft?
I've been doing a lot of local deals, and maybe it's more of like a local deal thing. But I feel like that's a question that comes up quite a bit. Like when we're working on back and forth with somebody offers something, I give my offer, and then it's just kind of like, "Hey, let's cut to the chase. What are you willing to take?" And we'll figure it out from there. And if I say, "Okay, like I'll take,"
okay, what are you willing to take is different than
what are you willing to take? What's the lowest you'll go?
What is your lowest price?
I think both. I think that you're saying the same thing. You're just saying it in a different way. Like what are you willing to take? What's your lowest price? What's the final value? Like all of those things. You're saying the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know if I would say like that is something that aggravates me, but clearly it aggravates you. Probably aggravates other people as well.
Buddy. All right. So like if somebody said, "Hey, buddy, what's your lowest price?" Blocked. I'm not even playing games. Like blocked. I'm finding out where you live. Like I'm gonna, anyways, I'm just joking. Joking. Okay. Now, no, because somebody said that. Somebody messaged me the other day. Yeah, they said, "Hey, bud, what's your best price on this one?" And I'm like, no, I'm not responding. Anyways, all right.
You're too soft, Orlando.
If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you understand where this is coming from. If you're brand new and you're watching this, just go with the flow. Understand there's a whole inside joke with all this. All right. So don't block those people. Now, if somebody has zero feedback, don't block them. I have a lot of people that are new get scared when somebody with zero feedback goes in and sends an offer or asks questions, because they're thinking that person's a scammer, is trying to, do something nefarious. But I will tell you, in my experience, the best buyers are usually zero feedback buyers. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Is this a good one not to block?
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to the types of questions they might ask, or other things that might come up in the transaction. When you see a zero feedback person offer you more for the item than you had it listed for, okay, clearly the scam.
Okay, that's shady. Yeah, that's scam.
But yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere. I always remembered, when I was young, trying to get my first jobs, and always seeing like the required was like 1 year's experience for all like entry level jobs. I'm like, well, how do you get the experience? who's going to hire me for the experience, right? Like, it's almost like that with feedback. Like, you eventually have to somebody has to sell you an item.
It's true.
And
It's
trust
so
you
true.
in order for you to start building a reputation. So, everybody's got to start somewhere. So I definitely don't think that's a bad thing. And the other beneficial thing with a zero feedback person is they're not eBay experts. Yeah, like you mentioned, if sometimes when I sell things and I see that the person has like 8,000 reviews, and I could tell that they're not a reseller, right? Like, they just are buying crazy things. They're just always buying on eBay. I'm a little worried because they know eBay. They know the game. They know how to say, like, well, this is an INAD because blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So
No, resellers, to me, resellers are the worst buyers. No offense to any resellers, but they're the lowballers. They're the ones that will return. I've had my biggest returns this year from resellers buying high price items and then going, it didn't fit, and sending it back. It's like, dude, you're a reseller. You understand how much that hurts when somebody sends back a several $100 item? So yeah, I'll take a zero feedback over a reseller. I love how this podcast is for resellers, but you know what I'm saying?
Us resellers, terrible.
Let us know in the comments. Are resellers the worst buyers? I would say most people will agree because they're the ones that lowball you the most. But it's just business. It's just business. All right, this last one. If somebody does not pay right away. Now, if they never pay, that's a different story. But if somebody right now, because this is on eBay, I put this more at the fault of eBay than the buyer. Right. And it's changing, right? Right now, I'm getting a lot more people that, it says when they send an offer that they'll pay right away or, whatever. But there's still the people that are given 4 days. And I've had big buyers like on a Friday, bundle a bunch of stuff, several $100 purchase, and then they won't pay it. But that's because they went to bed or whatever. They enjoy their time with their family over the weekend. That's just all I'm imagining in my head. They went on vacation to Barbados, whatever. And then they come back Monday morning. They're like, oh, I need to pay for this. And they'll pay for it. And so I would say do not block people just simply because they didn't pay right away.
Yeah, I think that's good. I've had quite a few times where even some of the stories you get are a little bit fishy. I've had, someone buy something and they say, hey, I don't get paid until Friday. I'll pay you then. And you instantly want to think like, man, I should just cancel this. This is messed up. But a lot of times those people do come through and you end up getting a good sale. And it's like, well, it sucks that I was your layaway for a little while, but I'm glad it actually sold. Now, the flip side is when they don't end up paying, different story. But if you try to instantly go to, cancel, done, I'm over this, I'm not selling it to you, you might actually miss out on that sell, and who knows when that item sells again. So don't block if they don't pay right away.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So hopefully this helps you not to block potential profit. So make sure that, if somebody sends you a low offer, don't take it personal. Somebody asking questions and an expensive item, hey, you probably would do the same. If a buyer asks you what's your lowest price, don't block them. They might be a nice guy like Mike, just trying to get a deal.
Yeah, buddy, come on.
If somebody has zero feedback, they may be a better customer than somebody with 8,000 feedback. And if somebody doesn't pay for it right away, maybe something has come up, but they're still going to come through. And if they do, no reason to block them. And hopefully this helps you guys, keep those profits. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Peace.